Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about phishing, what it is, and how to stay safe. So, basically, this is a tactic that's been around a long time, comes in a lot of different flavors, and effectively, it's where a criminal is trying to trick you to giving away sensitive information, usually by email, or leading you astray to go to a different website, go somewhere that you could just find yourself infested with malware later. So, we'll kind of go through a few tactics here, and pardon me if I do look down. I made a lot of notes on this because there's a lot of things that I want to get out and cram into this video, and don't want to forget. So, a couple common scams to look at. The fake invoice. This one's been around for a long time. I remember seeing this well over 10 years ago at this point, where it was showing up as like fake FedEx invoices. At first they were pretty easy to spot. They weren't of good quality. But as things have evolved, they have gotten very convincing. And the goal is basically to have an invoice paid, and these usually are targeting businesses where there's a lot of traffic. And if you pay the invoice, the punchline is there's no business that's actually been done. You've just given away that money. So that's something to look out for there. So always, due diligence. You've got to look and see, did this business take place? The next thing, oh yeah, the stranded relative. This one's been around for a long time. You get a random email from a relative you haven't talked to in maybe a decade or more. They're overseas, they're traveling, they're stranded. For some reason, they can't call you, they can't do anything other than communicate via email, but it's important that you wire them money. So, kind of just, if you take a second to think about it, just don't do it. Business email compromise. So, again, via email, this is where most of this is taking place. So, with business email compromise in particular, this is where an account in an organization may have been compromised and is being used to send traffic internally, meaning emails to other employees. And it's usually on the back of a sense of urgency that's saying, hey, we have this invoice here, please pay this vendor, we need you to do this now, now, now. So, a lot of people, they're thinking, oh man, the boss is on me, I need to do this. Okay, well, there you go. Other things, somebody up the chain can be asking an employee downstream, like, hey, I need your login info for this. How do you access this? Tell me. And, they've unwittingly given their, credentials away because the, illusion of trust that's there. So, moving on to the next, so voice phishing. This is basically phone scams. This has been around for probably as long as I've been alive. So, this is where, the IRS, quote unquote, will call saying, hey, you have an outstanding tax bill. We're going to come get you if you don't pay it. So obviously fake. Usually, you get a random call from a supposed sheriff's department. You've got a warrant out for your arrest. We need all this info and so forth and so on. And a popular one for the last 10 years has been supposedly Windows or Microsoft calling you saying your computer's infected and they want you to go to a website, connect, and then you're basically letting them into your computer. So I used to have to stress this at my IT company that Windows, it's not a company, it's a product that Microsoft makes, but Microsoft, they're never going to call you saying that your computer is infected. And it's usually, you can tell by the accent sometimes that it's probably not legit. So, not to profile, but it's the case where most malware originates. So, okay, pop-ups, that's the next thing. Just be aware of anything that's asking you to allow or decline. Like if you're at a website you haven't been to before, just decline everything. It's the thing, because if you click allow, sometimes you'll be redirected to another portion of the site that could be compromised, laden with malware, could take you off site somewhere else that you think you're going. And this is the problem too. A lot of links, we're kind of getting into the next section of what you can look for. Hover over your cursor on any web link you see. Make sure, like if it's saying there's a good software, security software out there that's called Malwarebytes. Make sure if you hover over it, it actually shows in the bottom left corner of your screen. It'll give you like the little info of what you're looking at. Make sure that actually shows up as what you're reading on the page, because it's very easy. You can edit the way text in a hyperlink looks to, like, and I'm sure you've seen these. It's somebody will send you something that says click here, just says the word here, but it's a blue link. So if you click it, you go to a website. If you hover over it, it will show you where you're going to go. So that's one thing to always be aware of. Spelling, spelling and grammar. Scrutinize the ever-living hell out of this, because it's usually one of the key ways that you can spot something. And a lot of times this will be Think of a threat actor that's first language may not be English. Okay, well, they may have a good translator, and those are getting better, but it's sometimes the grammar, it's the syntax of things. And more to the spelling, there's a couple areas you really need to look at is the sender. If you've, looked at something and just it catches your eye, something doesn't look right, like you're not sure, okay, is this a lowercase L, is this a capital I, is this the number one? Just verify. If you're getting an email that you think may not be, legitimate, hit the reply button. Look at what reply address you're going to, and if it's not the same as the sender, don't send it. The best thing you can do in most of these cases is what I call organic lookup, meaning close out of what you're doing. Just try to find these people, find this email address, find anything on your own without hitting reply, without assuming that what's provided is accurate, and verify that. Because if it's not, you've probably, avoided some kind of problem. So, suspicious situations. So that's like the lost relative or the Nigerian prince, that's saying they want to give you their fortune or something like that. If it sounds too good to be true, just, use a little common sense logic. And this happens a lot to elderly people, these types of scams, because they fall for them quite often. And the thing is just, you have to slow down. You have to step back, think about the whole situation. Does it make sense? If it does, proceed with caution, but just do your due diligence. So let's see. Oh yeah, hover overing the web links, email addresses, just pretty much anything you can do to give that extra second to verify. And here's what I like to tell people all the time. Call your IT guy. Most people aren't going to charge you to answer simple questions just to, help verify you're safe. If this is a trusted vendor you've used, like my company, we used to remote into any of our clients for free just to verify, like, hey, this is legitimate, this looks fraudulent, or, we need to take a further look at this. So it never hurts to ask questions if you ask them at the right time. So if you wait too long, obviously you can have some issues there. But anyway, to wrap this up, we're getting kind of long here. It's just a couple things to go over, a couple of the basics, and I'll put a link to another website here in the description below, because a lot of times that you find yourself a victim to phishing, you may not know it until years later. Like if any of this is ringing a bell, you think, oh God, I've done this at some point. Don't worry. There's going to be some tools I'll provide also in future videos that can help you kind of check this out. So with that said, have a good one.